The phone rang suddenly. It was late at night. The small room was quiet, except for the soft sound of rain hitting the window. Akina sat on the edge of her bed, holding the phone tightly in her hand. Heart was beating fast. She looked at the screen, an unknown number. For a moment, she did not answer. Her life had taught her to be careful. Too many calls had brought bad news before. Too many voices had broken her hope. The phone rang again and again. Finally, she answered, "Hello," she said softly. On the other side, a man spoke in a rushed and worried voice. "Is this Amina Khan?" he asked. "Yes." "This is Amina," she replied. There was a short silence. Then the man spoke again. Slower this time. "I'm calling from Al-Noor Legal Services. We need your help. It's urgent." Amina froze. Her fingers tightened around the phone. She had not heard that name in years. Not since the day her life changed forever. "I don't work there anymore," she said quietly. "You must have the wrong number." "No," the man replied quickly. "We know exactly who you are. You are the only one who can help us." Amina closed her eyes. Memories rushed into her mind. Long nights of study, courtrooms filled with powerful people, and the moment everything was taken away from her. "I left that life," she said. "I can't go back." The man's voice became more desperate. "Amina, please listen. There is a woman in danger, a black waitress. She is being accused of something she did not do. The case will be decided tomorrow morning." Amina's breath stopped. A waitress accused, no power, no money, no voice. It sounded too familiar. "I'm sorry," Amina whispered. "I work in a restaurant now. I serve food. That's all." There was silence again. Then the man spoke one last sentence. "She speaks Arabic. They are mocking her because they think she is nothing." Amina opened her eyes. Her hands began to shake. Arabic, mocking. She knew that pain. She had lived it. Her mind went back. Many years, she remembered standing in a foreign country, speaking fluent Arabic, while people laughed at her skin color. She remembered powerful men talking around her, thinking she could not understand. They were wrong then, and they were wrong now. "I can't promise anything," Amina said slowly. "I don't have money. I don't have influence." "That's not what we need," the man replied. "We need your mind, your voice, your courage." Amina looked around her small room. The broken chair, the old books stacked in the corner, the uniform hanging on the wall. This was not the life she dreamed of, but it was the life she survived. "What happens if I say no?" she asked the man. Took a deep breath. "Then tomorrow, an innocent woman will lose everything." The call ended. Amina stared at the phone. The rain outside became heavier. Her chest felt tight. She stood up and walked to the window. The city lights were dim. People were sleeping peacefully, unaware of the battles others were fighting. She pressed her forehead against the glass. "I promised myself I would never go back," she whispered. Her past had cost her everything: her job, her respect, her family's safety. That is why she was here now, hidden, silent, working as a waitress in a luxury restaurant where rich people laughed and poor people served. Her phone vibrated. Again, a message appeared. "Court hearing, 9 a.m. Location sent." Amina sat back down. Her heart was loud. Her mind was racing. She opened one of her old books, Arabic legal notes. Her handwriting filled the pages. She traced the words with her finger. She had not forgotten, not a single word. She looked at the clock. Time was moving fast. If she helped, she risked everything. If she stayed silent, someone else would suffer. Amina closed the book. She stood up slowly. She picked up her work. Uniform, ironed it carefully, folded it neatly. Then she whispered to herself, "Silence never saved anyone." She picked up the phone again, and for the first time in many years, she made a call back. The restaurant was glowing with golden lights. Soft music played in the background. Crystal glasses shined on every table. This place was made for rich people who like to feel important. Amina entered through the staff door. She wore a simple black uniform. Her hair was tied neatly. Her face was calm, but inside, her heart was heavy. She remembered the call. She remembered the woman in danger. And she remembered the words, "They are mocking her." Amina took a deep breath and stepped onto the restaurant floor. At the center table sat Richard Hale. Everyone knew his name. He was a billionaire, a powerful businessman, a man who controlled companies, people, and silence. He sat comfortably, leaning back in his chair, laughing loudly with his friends. Expensive watches shined on their wrists. Their voices were full of pride. "This place is slow," Richard said, looking around. "They should hire smarter staff." One of his friends replied. They laughed. Amina was assigned to their table. As she walked closer, she could feel their eyes on her. Not kind eyes, not respectful eyes. Judging eyes. She placed the glasses gently on the table. "Good evening, sir," she said politely. "May I take your order?" Richard looked at her from head to toe. He smirked. "You work here long?" he asked. "Yes, sir." Amina replied calmly. Richard leaned toward his friends and said something in Arabic. "She looks lost, probably doesn't understand a word we say." They laughed again. Amina heard everything. Her face did not change. She wrote down the order quietly inside her mind. Memories woke up classrooms in another country. Arabic teachers praising her accent. Late nights studying law books. She remembered how people once underestimated her too. When she returned with the drinks, Richard spoke again in Arabic, louder this time. "These people should be grateful. Serving us is the best they can do." One friend asked, "Do you think she even knows Arabic as a language?" More laughter. Other customers began to notice. Some smiled awkwardly. Some looked uncomfortable. But no one said anything. Amina placed the drinks down slowly. Her hands were steady. Her heart was not. She looked at Richard for a moment. Then she spoke in perfect Arabic. Calm and clear. "Respect is not taught by money. It is shown by behavior." The table went silent. The music felt louder suddenly. Richard froze. His friends stared at Amina. "What did you say?" Richard asked, switching to English. Amina met his eyes. "I said, sir," she repeated calmly. "Respect shows who we truly are." A few people nearby gasped quietly. Richard's face turned red. "So, you understand Arabic?" he asked sharply. "Yes," Amina replied. "Very well." Richard leaned back, trying to hide his shock. "Interesting," he said coldly. "Didn't expect that." Amina nodded slightly and turned to leave. Behind her, she heard Richard whisper in Arabic again. "Smart mouth for a waitress." Amina stopped. She turned back slowly. Her voice was still calm, but strong. "Smart minds can belong anywhere," she said, "even where you least expect them." Silence filled the room. Richard stared at her. For the first time that night, he felt uncomfortable. Amina walked away. In the kitchen, her coworkers looked at her with wide eyes. "Are you okay?" one whispered. Amina nodded. But inside, she knew something had started. This was not just about a rude billionaire. This was about dignity. This was about voice. This was about the call she received. Last night, she glanced at the clock. The court hearing was in a few hours, and Richard Hale. He was connected to the case. She didn't know how yet, but she felt it. Across the restaurant, Richard watched her walk away. His laughter was gone. Something about her bothered him. Her confidence, her words, her silence after speaking. He turned. to his friend and said quietly, "Find out who she is." Amina reached the staff room. She touched the old book in her bag, Arabic legal notes. The rain outside had stopped, but the storm was just beginning. The staff room was small and quiet. Amina sat on a wooden bench, holding her bag close to her chest. Her hands were still steady, but her mind was not. The words she spoke at the table echoed inside her head. She had broken her silence, and silence was the only shield she had for years. She opened her bag slowly. Inside was an old book with worn pages. The cover was faded. Most people would think it was useless, but for Amina, it was her past. She touched the book gently. Memories returned. Years ago, Amina was not a waitress. She was a top student. She studied law and languages. Arabic was her strongest skill. Teachers praised her. People admired her. Her future looked bright. She traveled to another country for higher studies. A country where powerful men made rules. A country where justice was only for the rich. At first, life was good. She worked hard. She learned fast. She spoke Arabic better than many locals. People were surprised by her knowledge, but surprise slowly turned into jealousy, and jealousy turned into danger. One night, Amina helped expose a powerful businessman. He was stealing land from poor families. She found proof. She spoke up. That was her mistake. The man was rich. The man was connected. The man was dangerous. Soon, threats started. Anonymous calls, warnings, fear. Her family was targeted. One evening, she came home to find her apartment broken into. Her files were gone, her laptop destroyed. The message was clear: stay quiet or lose everything. Amina reported it. No one helped. The system failed her. She had only one choice. She ran. She left the country. She left her career. She left her name behind. By the time she returned home, her confidence was gone. Her savings were empty. Her dreams were broken, so she took the only job she could. Waitressing, serving food to people who never looked at her twice. At first, it hurt. Then she learned to hide her pain behind a calm face. Back in the present, the restaurant manager entered the staff room. "Amina," he said seriously, "what you did out there, be careful. That man is very powerful." Amina nodded. "I understand," she said softly. But inside, she felt something different. She felt awake. The manager left. Amina checked her phone. A new message appeared. "Richard Hale is involved in the case." Her heart skipped a beat. So it was him? The billionaire, the same man who mocked her. The same man connected to the innocent. Waitress accused of a crime. The past and present had collided. Amina stood up. She looked at herself in the mirror. A simple uniform. Tired eyes, but a strong soul. "I ran once," she whispered. "I won't run again." Her shift ended late that night. She walked out into the cool air. The city looked different now. Not scary, not loud, just honest. She reached her small apartment and locked the door. She sat at the table and opened her old laptop. It was slow, but it worked. She opened legal documents, read case details. The waitress was accused of theft. No proof. Only witness statements. All from people connected to Richard Hale. Amina closed her eyes. "This is not justice," she said quietly. She looked at the clock. Court was in the morning. She had little time, but she had one thing no one expected: the truth and the language they thought she did not understand. She picked up her phone and made a call. "I'm ready," she said. "Tell them I will speak." On the other side, the voice sounded relieved. "Thank God," the man said. "We were losing hope." Amina ended the call. She leaned back and took a deep breath. Tomorrow she would face the man who mocked her. Not as a waitress, but as a woman who refused to stay silent. Outside, the city slept. Inside, Amina prepared for war. The courtroom was cold and quiet. Hard wooden benches filled the room. The air felt heavy, like everyone was holding their breath. Amina sat near the back, wearing a plain coat. She kept her head low. No one recognized her. That was good. At the front of the room sat the judge, calm and serious. Lawyers whispered to each other. Papers were stacked high. Everything looked official, but Amina knew. Better justice did not always live in places like this. The accused waitress sat alone at a small table. Her name was Nia. She was young. Her hands were shaking. Fear filled her eyes. Nia looked around the room, searching for help. She saw only strangers, except one. Amina met her eyes and gave a small nod. Nia did not know who she was. About that small sign gave her a little strength. Across the room sat Richard Hale. Clean suit, a confident face, powerful smile. He looked relaxed, like this was just another business meeting. Beside him were his lawyers, sharp, fast, and prepared. The judge entered. Court is now in session. He announced. The case began. Richard's lawyer stood up first. He spoke smoothly. He explained how Nia had stolen valuable documents from Richard's office restaurant meeting. He said there were witnesses. He said there was no doubt. People nodded. It sounded convincing. Nia's lawyer tried to defend her, but his voice was weak. He had little proof. He was already losing. Richard leaned back, satisfied. Then something unexpected happened. Amina stood up. A low whisper spread across the room. Who is she? Is she a lawyer? The judge looked at her. Ma'am, this is a court, he said firmly. Who are you? Amina took a deep breath. My name is Amina Khan, she said calmly. I request permission to speak as a language and legal witness. Richard's smile faded. His eyes narrowed. The judge hesitated. Do you have credentials? He asked. Amina stepped forward and handed over old documents. Degrees, certificates, legal training records. The courtroom grew silent. The judge read carefully. These documents are valid, he said slowly. Richard shifted in his seat. Amina turned toward the court. The case against this woman, said pointing gently at Nia, is built on words spoken in Arabic. Richard's lawyer stood quickly. This is irrelevant. It is very relevant. Amina interrupted calmly. The judge raised his hand. Let her speak. Amina continued. The witnesses claim Nia admitted guilt in Arabic, but the translation used is false. Gasps filled the room. Richard clenched his jaw. Amina looked directly at him. You assumed no one would understand, she said. That was your mistake. She recited the exact Arabic phrases spoken that night, word by word, meaning by meaning. Then she explained the real translation. The truth, the meaning was not an admission. It was a refusal. Nia never confessed. She defended herself. The room exploded into whispers. The judge leaned forward. Is this true? He asked the witnesses. They stayed silent. Sweat formed on Richard's forehead. His lawyer tried to object, but his voice shook. The trap was closing. Amina stepped back. I have finished, she said softly. The judge called for a short break. Richard stood up quickly and walked toward Amina. This won't end well for you, he whispered angrily. Amina looked at him calmly. It already has, she replied. The judge returned. He banged the gavel. This court will review all statements and translations immediately. Nia began to cry quietly. For the first time, they were tears of hope. Amina returned to her seat. Her heart was racing. She knew Richard would not give up easily. Powerful men never did. But now, the truth was standing in the light, and it was louder. Then money? The courtroom break felt long. People whispered in corners. Lawyers made urgent calls. The air was tense, like a storm waiting to strike. Richard Hale stood near the window. His face was calm, but his eyes were not. He was losing control. That never happened to him. He turned to his head lawyer and spoke in a low voice. "Fix this," he said. "I don't care how." The lawyer nodded, but fear was clear on his face. Across the room, Amina sat quietly. She kept her hands folded. She did not look at Richard. She focused on her breathing. Stay calm. Stay strong. Her phone vibrated. A message appeared from an unknown number. "Walk away now, or you will regret it." Amina stared at the screen. She had seen messages like this before, years ago. Threats dressed as warnings. She deleted the message across the room. Nia looked at her with worried eyes. "They are powerful," Nia whispered. "I don't want you to get hurt." Amina smiled softly. "They already tried to silence me once," she replied. "They failed." The judge returned to the courtroom. "Court is back in session," he announced. Richard's lawyer stood again. This time, his voice was sharp and aggressive. He questioned Amina's past, her job, her escape from another country, her life as a waitress. "Isn't it true," he said loudly, "that you failed in your legal career?" The words were meant to shame her. The room went quiet. Amina stood. "Yes," she said honestly. "I failed to stay silent." People murmured. She continued calmly. "I left because speaking truth was dangerous, not because I was wrong." The lawyer stumbled. Richard's fists tightened. Then Richard stood up himself. "I demand this witness be removed," T said angrily. "She has personal issues." The judge looked directly at him. "Sit down, Mr. Hale," he said firmly. Richard froze. He had never been spoken to like that. Amina stepped forward again. "There is more," she said. She revealed phone records, messages, proof that witnesses were coached. The room erupted. Richard's lawyer dropped his papers. The judge's face hardened. "This court takes intimidation seriously," he said. Richard's confidence broke. For the first time, fear showed on his face. The judge turned to Nia. "Based on new evidence, charges against you are suspended." Nia broke down in tears. Amina closed her eyes. But it was not over yet, as people stood. Richard leaned toward Amina one last time. "You think you won," he whispered. Amina met his eyes. "No," she said softly. "I think the truth did." Security approached Richard. The room watched in silence. Power had finally met its limit. Amina looked at Nia. "You are free," she said. Nia nodded through tears. Outside, reporters waited. Cameras flashed. Amina walked past them quietly. She did not want fame. She wanted peace. But her story was no longer hidden. And Richard Hall knew one thing. Now some voices cannot be bought. Outside the courtroom, the sky was clear. But inside Richard Hale's world, everything was falling apart. News spread fast. Reporters spoke loudly into cameras. Phones kept ringing. Social media exploded with headlines. "A billionaire caught using fake translations. Powerful man exposed in court." Richard stood near his car, surrounded by lawyers. His face was pale. His hands shook slightly, though he tried to hide it. For the first time in his life, money could not stop the truth. One by one, his business partners began to leave. They did not say goodbye. They did not offer help. They feared the damage to their career. Own names. Richard watched them walk away. The same people who once laughed with him. Inside the courthouse, Amina sat quietly with Nia. Nia held a cup of water with trembling hands. "I don't know how to thank you," she said softly. Amina smiled. Gently, you don't have to, she replied. Just live freely. Naya nodded. I was so scared, she said. They made me feel small, like I had no voice. Amina looked at her carefully. They always do, she said, until someone speaks. Later that day, the judge released a statement: the case against Naya was officially dropped. An investigation against Richard Hale was opened. Charges of intimidation, false evidence, abuse of power. Richard sat alone in his office that night. The lights were off. His phone lay silent. On the table, no calls, no praise, no respect, only silence. He remembered the restaurant, the moment he laughed, the moment he spoke Arabic, thinking no one would understand, and the moment a waitress answered him back. His power began to break. That night, Amina returned home late. She placed her bag on the table and sat down slowly. Her body was tired, but her heart felt light. For years, fear had followed her. Tonight, it did not. She opened her old book again, but this time, she smiled. Her past no longer scared her. It had prepared her. The next morning, Amina returned to the restaurant. Her coworkers looked at her differently. Now, with respect, with pride, the manager approached her. We heard the news, he said. You're not just a waitress, are you? Amina smiled softly. I never was, she replied. Across the city, Richard Hale watched the news alone. He finally understood something he ignored all his life. Real power is not money. Real power is truth, and truth does not stay silent forever. The restaurant was quiet that evening. The same tables, the same lights, the same soft music. But something had changed. Amina walked through the door wearing her uniform. She moved with the same calm steps, but inside, she was no longer hiding. People noticed her. Some customers whispered. Some smiled with respect. Some nodded politely. She was still a waitress. But now, she was also something else. She was seen at one table. A young girl watched Amina carefully. The girl held her mother's hand and whispered, Mom, she looks strong. Amina heard that. She smiled. Later that night, after her shift ended, Amina sat alone near the window. City lights blinked outside like quiet stars. Her phone buzzed. Message from Nia, I got a new job today. I'm free. Thank you. Amina closed her eyes. This was why she spoke. Not for attention, not for revenge, but for freedom. Across the city, Richard Hale sat in a dark room. No meetings, no laughter, no applause, only silence. For the first time, he replayed his words again and again. The jokes, the mockery. The moment he thought he was better, he understood now he was not defeated by a pru. He was not defeated by his own pride. The next morning, Amina walked into a small legal office. Nothing fancy, no gold signs, just honest work. She volunteered her time, helping people who had no voice, translating for those who were ignored. Standing beside the weak, word spread slowly, not through headlines, but through lives changed. Amina never spoke about the billionaire. She did not need to. Her actions spoke louder. One evening, she stood at a bus stop after work, tired, peaceful. She looked at her reflection in the glass. She was still the same woman, but now she was free from fear. She whispered softly, never judge a soul by their uniform, because strength can wear silence. Wisdom can wear simple clothes. And truth can come from the most unexpected voice. The world moves fast, but lessons stay, forever and sometimes. The person you mock today is the one who teaches you tomorrow.